But then at the same time, hurricanes, which also caused a problem. But I'm saying all that to say, the same thing happened in Brazil. We took our seeds and our plants over with us so that we could survive. So that's why when you get to Ghana, it feels like Jamaica. It just feels like a bigger Jamaica because it is.
Yeah, that's crazy. That's exactly what I was talking about. Your knowledge is just so vast because I had no idea about that. Man, so what do you say that they're already bombing and they're already destroying? Oh, Shaka, hold on. Shaka?
I can download whole videos, everything, but it seems that when I start speaking, it kind of wants to break up
Okay,
a bit. But
so
we'll see. We'll see
it's
how long it
crazy.
works.
It said I tried to add you 2 or 3 times and it kept saying he's unable to join. He's unable to join. He's unable to join.
Yeah,
That's
man.
crazy the way they censor you.
That
That's
them I
so
deal with.
crazy. Okay, so all right, so the whole idea of us all going back to Africa, do you think that would work or do you think it wouldn't work? Like you said, not everybody because useless here, useless there. But as a
Um,
whole, do you think it would be beneficial to our people? Or do you think our people should try to stay where they are and boycott and try to create the best life that they can in their own areas, cities, countries, whatever? Yes, but it's breaking up.
okay. You can't hear me, or you can hear me.
Yeah, I hear you. I hear you now.
All right. Um. All right. To your point, um, I think that to take everybody back to Africa doesn't make sense, but some of us
Mhm.
do need to go back. Um, and it's not like it needs to be, the chosen few or the people who are privileged or whatever. It just needs to be people who want to go and get to work. Um, there are people in Africa already who have their own ideas of what they want for their land and their continent. And definitely what we shouldn't be thinking is to go there with a black colonial view. If we need to escape the West, then we need to do so as refugees and go there and hope that the government state would be able to provide for us to a degree until we can get ourselves on our feet and be of use. But we shouldn't go back there and think we are supposed to tell these Africans what they're supposed to do. And that's what people, African Americans who went back to Liberia were trying to do. They were trying to go back to
Mhm.
create basically a black American colony so that they could have the Africans in Liberia, the Liberians, planting cotton so that they could rival the colonies in the south of North America. So that's not a good idea, right? But what is a good
No.
idea is listening to the rhetoric that has been created by some of the West African governments, like, for instance, the president of Ghana and Sister Annabelle, who actually created the Year of Return, who has
Mm.
been working with the Ghanaian government to create favorable policy and immigration laws so that people from the diaspora are able to move back, relocate, etc. So, like, the Ghanaian government and people in general are like, if you're being persecuted there, then come back here because, or come here because it's going to be better for you than being there struggling against, crazy supremacists and all of the stuff that we know that people are being persecuted for. I figure that for instance, Ghana has gone to Jamaica, gone to Barbados, gone to North America. The president went to all these places and said, come home. We said, this is the year of return. We want you to come. We want you to visit. We want you to live. So if you have a leader of a country and the general feel in a country is we want you to come, then yes, come. I'm not saying go to like Niger and go to Ethiopia and try and set up colonies and stuff. But if you look at what Haile
Right.
Selassie did with Shashamani, he gave 210 acres for the Caribbeans, particularly it was Rastafarians that took up that land and that opportunity. But he did that, and we are working on something similar in Ghana, so that our people will be able to go there and be able to create a life for themselves. Because let's be honest, nobody wants to not have a job, and nobody wants people a
Right.
job, and you give people an opportunity to be able to create a living for themselves. They will. It's like, look at the people them who, when they retire, have a job anymore, so they don't have nothing to work for, and their health starts to get worse, and then they die. So there's a lot of people who
Right.
never have a job in North America, so they're dying. They're living off the state. UK as well, they're living off the state. They aren't able to nutritionally fortify themselves properly, so they're always sick. You see all the people then with diabetes, hypertension, all of these problems. They aren't, if you look at like Germany, UK, most of America, they're not getting enough sun, they're not getting enough vitamin D, they're off their
Right.
culture, and for them, they're dying already because they don't have that energy. So for those people, I figure that to go to Ghana, in particular, I can't speak for every countries in Africa that do favor immigration. I figure that it makes sense. I mean, like, look, if you go anywhere in Africa, you're going to find the European, you're going to find the Chinese, you're going to find the Arab, you're going to find the Lebanese, right? So people shouldn't have this hang up of, oh, I don't know whether I can go back to Africa, when you look like the people there because they're your ancestors, or at least you can claim some genetic history with those people there. You're not just a colonizer, you're not just an invader. It's just the way that you look at it is you need to look at it from a progressive standpoint, as we're going there to build with the people there, not impose colonial views. Because the idea of Pan-African, which one of my mentors taught me this years ago when I first started traveling in Africa, he said the idea of Pan-African isn't an African concept. It was created by Caribbeans from outside of Africa. In Africa itself, the people there are, Yoruba, they're Igbo, they're Ga, they're Fanti, they're Santi. They're not black. They don't
Right.
consider
Right.
themselves black. Though
Different
they might have black
tribes.
skins,
Right.
black is a political term. There's people there, they consider themselves from an ethnic group. So the Pan-African ideas in we are all of one Africa has been created from outside of Africa and being imported into Africa. And a lot of Africans aren't down with that shit because they're like, no, I am Yoruba, this is my land, and these are my people, and we don't care about any of that stuff. Unless you're going to come and benefit them. Because when I first started traveling in Africa, people was calling me Mzungu, Mondele. They were basically calling me white man or foreigner, right? Until they saw what I was doing. And then they're like, no, 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 you're our brother. So it depends on how you
Right.
go there.
Right. Right. It's funny. Two things I wanted to say. You said when I went to Ghana or last year, and I had to get a visa to go to Ghana, and I said, "Well, why do I have to have a visa? I'm from Jamaica. I shouldn't have to have a visa to go back to the motherland." Anyways, I had to get a visa. When I landed in Africa at the immigrate or in Ghana at the immigration, they looked at me and they said, the immigration officer said to me, "Sister, you don't want to come back home? You don't want to move back to Ghana?" And I said, well, yes, well, I'm from Jamaica, And they said, well, yes, I see your passport. That's why I'm asking you. Don't you want to come back home? And I said, that's a great question, because I wondered, why did I need a visa to come here? And they said, you really don't. If you really want to come back here, there's things that you can do being a Jamaican to come and be a citizen here. And I said, really? Well, when I was in Germany, they didn't tell me that. They told me I needed a visa. Anyways, the second point that you made, I've been living in Germany now for a few years, and before I moved to Germany, I was never lactose intolerant, gluten intolerant. I ate what I wanted when I wanted. could never get fat. My body was always very toned, lean, ate whatever I want, never had a problem with it. Since I've been living in Europe, not getting sun, I cannot have dairy, which is actually
Mm-hmm.
good for me now, but I don't eat any dairy because my body can't tolerate it. I can't have any gluten or
Mm.
gluten products because my body cannot tolerate it. And all of these things started happening to me. I went to doctors, couldn't find out what was going on with me. When I finally went to a specialist, did my blood, did all
Mm-hmm.
kind of tests, and he finally told me, you know what's wrong with you? Oh my gosh, they cut him out again. I can't believe this. Let's go crazy. Wait, I want to say it to him. Let me try again, guys. I can't believe they cut him off again. Unbelievable. They cut him off again. They really cut him off again. I cannot believe that. I'm going to finish my story, guys, but I want him on here. I want to say it to him because I know that he's going to have a wealth of information to tell me about it. I'm really upset. Oh, he's back. Okay, wait, guys, he's back. He's back. Okay, he's back. I can't believe they keep cutting me off
Yo,
like this. That's crazy. Um,
life.
but yeah, so the specialist finally said to me, "You're lacking one thing. There's one thing that's
Mm-hmm.
wrong with you." And I was like, "Well, what could that be?" He's like, "You are from Jamaica, right?" I said, "Yes, born and
Mm-hmm.
raised." He said, "What age did you leave Jamaica?" I said, "When I was 24." And he said, "So your body was made for sunlight. Your
Mm-hmm.
body was made to be by the ocean, to eat fish, to eat like this, to eat like that. Your body is
Mm-hmm.
literally in shock right now. It's not getting
Mm.
sun. It's not getting the food that it's accustomed to eating, you know, and
Yeah.
being in Europe is not good for your body. You need sun. You need the food that you're accustomed to." And I was mind blown because as soon as he said that, it like something just went off in my head. He's right. That's exactly
Mm-hmm.
what it is, you know? And as African people, as melanated people, we forget that we are not the same and we cannot eat the same as Asians, Europeans. Their body was made for the way they eat for the way they eat for their climate, and that's what's best for them, you know.
Yeah.
um I
It's having a tropically adapted skeleton. So when you live outside of the tropics, your metabolism slows down. You basically get what is called seasonal, well, actually, it's all seasonal affective disorder. So you can't metabolize foods properly
mhm,
because your melanin is not stimulated
mhm.
because you aren't able to produce vitamin D because your melanin is not stimulated from sunlight. Like you have to look at people who have a tropically adapted skeleton like a plant. You need water, you need sunlight, you need natural fruits, you need fresh air. And when you get these things, then you're able to grow. Like your hair in the tropics, because you have the follicles and the sweat glands, your natural oils come out and moisturize your hair. You go to
Yes,
Germany, and then your hair's going to get dry.
everything gets dry in Germany, everything, and I literally mean everything.
Mm,
We'll get into that topic later, but yeah.
Deutschland ist sehr langweilig.
Sehr langweilig, ist ganz langweilig. But yes, yeah, it's been crazy. Nutrition, how it affects you. I really want you to tell me a lot about, because I am not vegan, not completely
Mm-hmm.
yet. I still eat meat from time to time, but I don't have any dairy products. I've been
Mm-hmm.
doing your fasting, your water
Mm-hmm.
fast, which
Are you
actually has,
fasting right now?
no, I didn't do it this week.
Boo.
I didn't do it
I'm
this
fasting
week.
right now.
Oh, but wait, I have a question.
Go on.
You do the full 3 days every week?
No, 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 not 3 days. 36 hours, a day and a half.
Ah, a day and a half. Okay, I've been doing 3 days and then 3 days
Mm.
off, and then 3 days again and 3 days off.
All right, you've been doing the next thing. You've been doing the 72-hour power week.
Yeah, but you know what I find? I find that my body
Mm-hmm.
ha has responded so well. Like I feel I have so much energy. Of course, first it was so difficult and I felt like I was going to die, really.
Mm.
But now it's easy, you know, after the first, second day, it's just like, yeah, I can do this, you know?
It's natural now, right?
No, it's totally normal for me. Um, what else did I want to talk to you about? Fruits. Eating only fruits.
Yeah. Eating
How?
only organically grown tropical fruits. Let's be
That's right.
specific, because you can't
And
just eat any fruits.
okay, and tell us the difference.
Well, tropical fruits have more minerals in it, just like uh, women who have melanin have more whole. Women who have melanin have more minerals inside of their breast milk, so that's why they had the what we call wet nurses or mammies in during slavery in North America. They were getting white babies and putting them on black women to breastfeed them, because they know that black breast milk, melanated breast milk, has more minerals in it, has more energy in it. So you can eat fruits like
Baby.
strawberry, apple, orange. Um, that's not going to serve you.
Go.
Well, I go and little man.
He says, "Do I go and lick a
Uh,
man?"
um,
I'm coming, baby. Yes, darling.
that in itself means that you have to um, eat foods that are compatible with your genetic predisposition. So you can eat fruits, solely eat fruits, but they have to be tropical fruits, because you have a tropically adapted skeleton. If you try to eat just like them same long kind of donga donga Cavendish banana and strawberry and some apple and orange, then you're not going to be well. Whereas if you eat mamey, star apple,
Jackfruit.
star fruit, jackfruit, dragon fruit, passion fruit, all them thing there, then like Jamaican cherry, there's difference from European cherry to Jamaican cherry. That's a
Right.
different type of cherry. It's sweeter, right? That is because it receives more sunlight. Therefore, through the process of photosynthesis, it can receive more minerals. So, yes, you can just eat fruit, but it has to be the right type of fruit. And Europe is crazy for fruit. You know, I'm going to start a fruit company pretty soon in England, and then maybe
Yes.
expand it. But Europe is terrible for fruit. That's why I don't be in Europe, because
My God, it's
most
so
of the time
bad.
I can't get it. You know.
The diversity is so bad, really. I mean, you can only get maybe what, five or six basic fruits, the basic fruits, you know? You
Hmm.
can't get jackfruit here. You can't get things that should really be standard, you know?
Standard for who though? That's not Europeans'
True.
diet. So they
True.
don't want to eat them type of food there. They're happy with the apple and them orange. And, you know, they survived through, you know, Ice Age and that type of life by eating grains and meat. So they're happy eating grains and meat. So you'll find a lot of grains, you'll find a lot of bread, you'll find a lot of meat, you'll find a lot of cheese, but you won't find a lot of, you know, tropical
Fish,
fruits,
fruit,
fish. I mean,
vegetables.
even fish is like, look at what look at what's going on in the oceans right now.
Ah,
The
that's true.
oceans are becoming
The
acidified.
cesspit, right?
Right, they got all this plastic waste in. Most fish have microplastics in them. Most fish have an abundance of mercury in them. Fukushima happened, and that radioactive waste leaked into the ocean. They've been dumping radioactive waste from Europe and America off the coast of Somalia for the last 30, 40 years. And in 2005, a tsunami happened, and it washed up this radioactive waste on the shore of Somalia. And that's how the people found out that actually the mafia in Italy were dumping radioactive waste off the coast of Somalia, killing the fish populations. That's why the Somalis then became pirates, because they saw all these ships full of food and full of oil and thing going up and down their coastline, but they had no fish to fish no more. They destroyed their agriculture
Wow, I got
and destroyed their
goosebumps.
camels, and then they destroyed their ocean. So that the youth then was getting all kind of malfunctions, losing eyes, having like losing limbs, because the water was toxic. Now you take a sample from most oceans around the world right now, and you look at kind of what is in that. There's a lot of things that in that. There's parasites. There's like plastic. There's bacteria waste. It's like the only thing that I really will eat from the ocean is sea moss and seaweed, because plants have a way of being able to purify that, just
Makes
like hemp
sense.
has a way of being able to purify radioactive waste in the earth. But at the actual fish, the fish can't process that. So then you eat that, you get parasites. And then when you have parasites, it's going to cause you to have all kind of reaction, from breakout to wanting to crave sugar, to even the fact that, and a lot of people don't want to identify with it, but you shouldn't get horny. You shouldn't get horny. And the reason why you shouldn't get horny is because sex is supposed to be spiritual, right?
Right.
So when you're sitting on your own and you're just getting horny, a lot of the time that it stopped for me. It used to happen for me. It doesn't happen to me for me anymore. A lot of the time, that's parasites that are wriggling around in your prostate or wriggling around in your uterus that want to find a new host. So they tell you you're horny. You get a feeling in that area. It's just your area being stimulated, make you want to go have sex with somebody, so this parasite can find a new host. But that's what horny is. Like, you shouldn't feel like that type of vibe unless you have somebody with you, like that type of chemistry.
To stimulate
Or
you.
right. That's it. You shouldn't just be sitting there thinking, I need to touch myself or I need to have sex or something, because it's spiritual. It's supposed to be two people. It's not supposed to just be you sitting there thinking, ooh, I need sex. It's just like when you're sitting there thinking, ooh, I need sugar. It's parasites. It's a problem with the enzymes, or the lack of enzymes that you have in your body that you're sending from your liver up to your brain that allow you to process thought. You now have a diseased liver. You then have diseased thoughts. You end up having mood swings and all these type of problems. Like, it's now 5 months that I didn't have sex. I could easy on my own not have sex for the rest of my life. Easy.
I want to
Because
talk about that. We'll get into that after, but yeah, finish.
because when I cut out and I became plant-based and I cut out all of these foods that created parasites in me, I cut out that
Urge.
dependency. You don't have a sex drive. You are a holistic human. And within you being a holistic human and a spirit, that's why we're supposed to raise our children as spirits first, because they're sons of light, they're daughters of light. We're supposed to raise them as spirits before we raise them as human beings. You
Right.
are a spiritual being, and you are supposed to be able to reach the highest reward for a human, which is an orgasm, to be able to create life. But you shouldn't just be bored and having sex because you're bored. Like, it doesn't make no sense. So you shouldn't be sitting there kind of urging or craving sex, like, just like you shouldn't be sitting there urging or craving to go on your phone, or urging or craving to drink alcohol, or urging to or craving anything that is detrimental to you, unless it is done within a holistic manner. You don't have a sex drive. You're not a car. We're told and seasoned to believe that we have a sex drive because they bred us for sex so that they can have our children. That's not our ritual.
You know what, Shaka? This is why. Can we go on live every week? No, but this is why it was so imperative for me to get you on my live, because you drop gems, man. Like, your knowledge is so vast. You blow my mind. Even, speaking to you, you just, man, you have such a wealth of knowledge. And I don't know what your religious or spiritual beliefs are, but you are so blessed. Like, you are definitely a prophet. I don't know if you're aware of this. Prophet in the terms of, I don't know what you believe in, but I will tell you what I
I, I
believe in.
mean, I'd rather not be, because all of our leaders get killed. So I'd rather just be a man who does certain things. But I just read
Yeah.
books. I just read books and then teach them books. So say you have a book now. I teach you a lesson in learning. Say you have a book now, and every time you pick up the book to read it, you get distracted. You're going to get back on your phone. When you get back on your phone, but you've read a chapter of a book, call your brethren and teach them what you learn in the book. Stop
Right.
reading novels. Read books
Right.
about facts and history. Call up your brethren and teach them what you learn in the book, and that's how you turn this information to knowledge, because you take it from your short-term memory and you put it into your long-term memory. Because if you can teach it, that means you really understand it,
Right.
right? So even if you
Right.
pick up the phone and call your brethren and start rambling, right? At least you're then starting to put some of that into your long-term memory. You go to sleep on it, you wake up the next day, you'll know it all. So like, every single book that I've ever read since I became plant-based and started to really practically, progressively start to study, I remember all of the books, all of the words, everything that I wanted to remember, I remember. It's possible, but you have to be able to teach it. If you read a book and keep it in your own mind, you're going to go, oh, what was that? Yeah, I read this book. Oh, and you can't even remember the author. Whereas if you call up your brethren that same day or the day after and say, yo, I'm reading this really interesting book. It's called Medical Apartheid. It's by Harriet Washington. It teaches how gynecology was created on African women without anesthetic. Then you'll never forget that because you've been able to teach it. So that the knowledge that I have is just, it seems uncommon because I'm reading it in books and a lot of people don't read books anymore, but it's not uncommon knowledge. This knowledge that I have, not necessarily about history, but about health and nutrition, we learned this in Africa by the time we were 14, 13, because you couldn't become a man or a woman without knowing what to eat properly, without knowing certain health practices, without knowing certain herbs that could heal you in certain times. Is that how you're going to go forward and have picnic if your child gets sick and you don't know how to heal them? You have to send them to a hospital. We didn't have hospitals, so where was we sending them? You have to go to the bush and look after your own youth, you know? So these are the things that we used to know, and now it's like it's almost become uncommon knowledge. But we need to make it common knowledge again, man. That's why I'm building this school in Ghana, so that the curriculum of the youth them in the school in Ghana, these stuff is going to be standard. So when the youth them start, you know, going into the world and they start speaking, they'll realize that actually they are a full human. You know, hue meaning black and man meaning spirit. You know, you are a black spirit. Without that, you're not life. That's hue, H-U-E. It means black spirit. But yet
Color,
we're trying to call anybody human when they're not acting like humans.
Shaka, what's your spiritual belief? Like God, universe? Do you believe in the Yoruba religion, and who is your deity? Do you believe in? No, go ahead.
God is a higher intelligent life force energy under which we are all created in God's image. So there are gods, and then there is one true God, right? In ancient Kemet, we used to call that God Netta or nature or Ra, the sun god. That's why his name was Amun Ra. That's why, but Amun Ra never existed without, you know, the principles of Ma'at and the mother nature as well. So they were duality, they were together, right? It wasn't just a man in the sky or just an idea of a man in the sky. That's why I was saying yesterday that the son of Osset and Osar, Isis's son, his name was Heru or Horus. And from that we get the word horizon. The sun will rise on horizon. The sun, Isis's kind of evil brother-in-law, the evil twin Set, he actually killed Osiris. So the first story of Immaculate Conception was that Isis and Osiris and Set killed Osiris because he was jealous, and then cut off everything, dismembered him into 14 parts, scattered them all along the Nile, and the only part that wasn't able to be found was the phallus, was the penis. That's why you have obelisks everywhere. She found it eventually. She sat on him and she created Horus, who is the story of Jesus. And from creating Horus, she then was to be able to, you know, create one of the first stories of Immaculate Conception, the prodigal son, the second coming, all of that stuff. Set killed Osiris, and so that's why we say sun set, because the sun, it's the duality, it's the evil or the dark and the light. It's just the story of nature, right? I believe that African spirituality predated any religion for hundreds of thousands of years. So I believe that this system of religion is fairly primitive, is very patriarchal, is very male dominated. And a lot of the time, religion is division. And you had all of these systems, sorry to cut you, had all of these systems in Africa that were based on Mother Nature, and they were based on the one true God, which was the God of the sun. And then you had the idea of religion is these people came in and said, you know, you're worshipping nonsense. You're worshipping all of these different gods. We need monotheism, out of which came monogamy, out of which came crusades and empires, etc., etc. And what used to be said was Amun Ra. His name was Amun Ra. Now Christians still say Amen, but they condemn paganism, but they're still worshipping the sun. Muslims still say Amin, which is still the same thing. So you're just regurgitating African scientific spirituality. And if you want to have real understanding and knowledge of who you are, then you should go back to the source, because religion is 2,000 years old, if that. And the source is thousands and thousands of years old, and religion is division. These things were, this scientific spirituality was united because it didn't matter what language you spoke, it didn't matter what culture you came from, you were all under the same one God. Now it's like football teams. Are you Muslim? Are you Christian? Are you Hebrew Israelite? Are you Rasta? Are you this? Are you that? Like, Rastas essentially are black Zionists. Like, that's what Rastas are. I'm not saying that the lifestyle of Rasta isn't good. It is. But, you know, bonfire on everything and we're going to destroy everything, and then out of that we might be able to create something, doesn't make sense either. You can just create without having to destroy. Right. So I'm not into religion because my brain isn't limited by a prejudice, which is just an emotional commitment to ignorance. Though I was raised Rasta, I am committed to Ita lifestyle, Ita liberty, but I'm not committed to reading the Bible and telling women that they can't go certain places when they're menstruating, and that, you know, they have to be seen and not heard, and that my children are full of hell, so I have to beat the hell out of them because they were born into sin, and the only way that they are going to be able to get into heaven is if they then repent and give their soul for salvation. That's what salvation means. It means scrap. It means waste. So I have to give my soul for salvation to be taken by a higher consciousness and put it into that. But I am that consciousness because I was born in God's image. That means God is not something that's going to come down and burn fire on me and judge me. God is something that loves me because I am born out of that, and I'm supposed to be able to work with God. It's not supposed to. We're supposed to be separate. We're
Right.
all in the same thing. Like being, it was a comedian, can't remember his name, but he said that being going to church makes you as much a Christian as standing in a garage makes you a car. You know, it's supposed to be within you, you know,
Right.
and whether it's, you know, Jesus or Muhammad or Allah or the Holy Spirit or whatever, doesn't matter who the messenger is. Did you get the message? That's the most important thing.
Right. I'm really happy that you said it like this, because I love the analogy that religion is like a fishbowl and spirituality is like the whole ocean. You know, religion is so limited. It's so it was created to serve who created it. You know, it was not created to serve the followers. It was created to serve the leaders. So you just said it absolutely perfectly. I want to get into your celibacy, and I want to know why. I want to know why you started this. I want to know your thoughts behind it. I want to know how it's been. I want to know the struggles. I want to know the benefits. Tell me all about it.
Well, it's abstinence. It's not celibacy because I haven't
Right.
devoted myself to a Christian God.
Right. So it's
But
abstinence.
I just wanted to be productive. So I was like, all right, cool. I was seeing someone and couldn't see her for various COVID reasons. And it's not like, say, that woman haven't flung themselves at me, but I just didn't see the point because, you know, I went through a long period of time in my life where I was just fucking anybody and everybody. And I was like, well, actually, now it's time to take a step back. So I always take a step back from sex when I'm doing boxing. Like if I have to fight. So like in 2016, most of the year of 2016, I wasn't having sex because I had 2 fights. So I was training for 3 months. I was in a fight cycle. But at the same time, a man cannot master his highest self until he has mastered his lowest self, right? So when a man
I
is
love
stuck
that.
on, and the thing is that I'm blessed to have done it before I got old. A lot of men settle down when they get old and their dick stops working properly. So their ting won't stand up no more. And so they get impotency because of their diet and various other reasons. So they're like, yeah, I'm just going to settle down with my one queen now or whatever. Before they was fucking everybody, right?
Right.
I have decided to do it in my prime because I am preparing my body for children. Not sure when I'm going to have children, not sure who I'm going to have them with, but in order for you to create the greatest child that you can create, you need to have not only a pure spirit, but actually a pure body environment.
Wow.
Also, think about how much time we spend dating, on dates, fucking late nights, Netflix and chill, all of that stuff. And then if you look at kind of putting that into sustainable business, creating, ecosystems, I was able to do a lot more in the last 4 years when I've been whole rather than the years previously when I've been in a relationship, because I wouldn't say that I'm single, because single gives this idea of monotheism, and without a other, you aren't whole. You are whole on your own, and then you're supposed to meet another whole and create the third, which is the child, and that's the Holy Trinity. That's mother, father, child, right? If you walk around saying I'm single, I'm single, I'm single, then that means that you aren't complete until somebody comes into your life, which means you're going to keep running into bullshit relationships, which don't make any sense. So I haven't stopped having sex with people because, I've got something wrong with me, or something's wrong with women, or, I had some kind of tragedy or anything. I just wanted to be more productive. And I always try to seek truth wherever I am. So whichever side, I'm always on the right side. That's why I try to
Right.
be. I
And
don't
that's,
care
I
who
tell
or where.
everyone that about you, every single person. Someone, this is kind of off topic, but someone was talking to me the other day about Donald Trump and the whole situation. And I said, well, I don't know about that, but I look at Shaka stuff, and this is where Shaka's going. This is, yeah, but Shaka doesn't believe that Donald Trump is the right way and he's the only way that's saving right now. And I'm like, you know what? I know this man personally, and one thing I can tell you about him is he always goes with what is right. He always, no matter what's happening, he goes with what is right. So the things that you post and the things that you believe in, I know that I can, not only do I resonate with it, but I can trust in it, because not only is it factual and has proof to back up everything, but it's always in the direction of what is correct and what is right, no matter what bandwagon everybody's on at the time,
I mean, look at the truther accounts who spend all of the time. I don't post for paid promotions. I've never done a paid promotion. I don't post so that I can get advertising revenue. I do not make money from all of the truth that I try to open people's eyes to. So clearly it's spiritual. Clearly it's something to do with my purpose and my mission. So I'm not buyable. I'm not in allegiance with any corporation. I start my own businesses because I want to do good for the youth them. But the same people them who say this person is XYZ literally haven't done nothing with their lives, or they haven't done, like, nobody who has got more social influence than me, nobody who has got more money than me has ever come at me trying to cuss me, right? Because they can see that actually I'm doing the best that I can do, and I'm doing a better job than a lot of people who have more money
Then
and more
most.
social influence than me.
Right.
But that's when people come in and say, yo, Donald Trump is dismantling the deep state and the cabal and Pizzagate and all of this stuff. I'm like, yeah, man, that's good. But they don't have the capacity to understand that there's far more rapes going on in Congo. I have 2 orphanages there. There's far more things going on around the rest of the world. Look at all of the people that get killed in Jamaica. That they expect, because America is supposed to dictate the narrative of the world. So first it's white America, then it's black America is supposed to dictate the narrative of the world. They have the audacity to believe that I am supposed to have to subscribe to some old, he's like 72, some old white man, just because he's doing what they should have done a long time ago. He's not a fucking hero. He's not my hero. My heroes is like, Peter Tosh and Bob Marley and Thomas Sankara and Winnie Mandela and all. They're heroes. He's not no hero. He's a billionaire right? He's not a youth anymore. He's 70 odd or whatever. And I don't think that he's particularly a nice person. You're never going to see me saying any statement like you should grab a woman by the pussy and all of them thing there. I don't believe. And if you look at his rallies, they're all racist people at his rallies, right? So it doesn't matter whether or not you believe, he's a good person. He might be doing the things that he should be doing. That's what he should be doing as a human. But my problem is that You know, if he's such a good person, then why has he got people who are racist saying that they agree with him and everything that he's doing, and they're his loyal fan base and support base? They're beating people up at rallies. They're attacking people. They're lynching people right now, saying "Make America Great Again." You can never see a group of people who was out there committing atrocities on my behalf while I'm standing there, you know.
And
Yeah, man,
endorsing
these are
it.
my people. Yep. So
Right, right. If you
I don't
endorse it,
believe
that
in
means you
liberals. They're
agree with
evil.
it.
Yes, yes. I don't believe in liberals. They're evil, is what Malcolm X said, is that these are foxes. And I don't believe in Republicans and conservatives either, because they're wolves. And like Malcolm X said, they both belong in the doghouse. So I don't care whether it's the foxes who are sneaky and do the underhanded racism thing and try and, you know, get you to fund their campaigns on the back of hijacking your movement. And I don't believe in Republicans who try and say, you might as well come and join us because you ain't got shit to do.
Right.
Like, sorry, you're
You
not
can't
my
get any
leader.
worse off than you are, is what he said.
Yeah. So none of these people, them are my leaders. And the thing is that I'm not even an American citizen. You can just see me as a man and his opinion, right? I just know some of the things that have been done and could be done in order to liberate the people. The people there
Right.
need their own political party. This whole two-party system is bullshit. And there's enough people in Black America to create their own nation. And it's been like that for a while. That's why the federal government, whether people believe it or not, the federal government created COINTELPRO, which was literally the three main objectives of COINTELPRO was to stop the rise of a Black Messiah. So they killed Malcolm X, Fred Hampton, Move 9 organization, destroyed Marcus Garvey, etc., to stop Africans in North America speaking and communicating, doing trade with Africans on the continent of Africa, because they knew how much money gold they were taking out of South Africa in particular, because that's how they were paying the Vietnamese in the Vietnam. That's how they were paying the Vietnamese. What do you call them now?
Okay, gonna leave in a minute. Okay, give me a
That's
minute,
how
okay?
they were paying. Wagwan.
No.
That's how. That's
Say
how they were
hi.
paying. Yes, I. Hi,
I'm coming,
Big
baby, okay?
Gates.
He says bigot.
That's how they
Yeah.
were paying the Vietnamese dissenters in the Vietnam War. They weren't paying them with dollars. They were paying them with gold, right? That gold was gold that they took out of Africa. So they were fueling their war where they were siding with the French
Hold on,
in
Shaka.
North America.
Keep talking, yeah.
Yeah. So basically, they were fueling the war. They agreed to be part of this whole kind of keeping white people in Southeast Asia. That's what the Vietnam War was about. It was a power struggle. It didn't make sense monetarily, and they actually created a false flag called the Gulf of Tonkin incident, where the U.S. Army bombed their own ship and then used that as an excuse to go and join the Vietnam War, right? So that's called the Gulf of Tonkin incident. They were paying them in gold. That gold was coming from Africa, particularly from South Africa. When the Vietnam War was at its height, the French actually said, we need to start taking our gold back out of the USA, because after World War II, there was a reconstruction plan called the Marshall Plan, where the USA actually funded the reconstruction of Europe. And that's under the Marshall Plan was a lot of our grandparents came to Europe from the Marshall Plan, because they was coming to help rebuild England that had been destroyed by the war. So everything connects, right? But I'm saying all this to say that that they didn't want Africans in North America speaking with Africans on the continent of Africa, because they would just cut them out. It's like, why is it that Black Americans right now are going to Jews, right, to get their jewels? Why are you going to Jewish people, not real Jews, but Jewish people, to get your jewels, right? When you could just speak to a man in Sierra Leone and get your diamonds same way and carve them and give them to the rappers then. And the third point was they wanted to stop the rise of a Black nation. So the US federal government decided that it was important enough to take tax dollars and create COINTELPRO to destroy the idea that there could be a Black nation, because they knew they knew the financial implications of that. So I'm saying to people that they can actually do that right now, because the Black dollar is worth $1 trillion annually. Every single year, you have $1 trillion economy that you could be using for your own benefit, and you're only putting it into white businesses, white banks, and paying white taxes.
You know, I did a live the other day with this a young man by the name of Young Pharaoh. Very, very, very he's also very knowledgeable. But that's exactly what he was saying, that he was explaining to me a bit about, because I'm from Jamaica. I'm just getting into the Black American politics, you know. Black Wall Street, you know, and he was explaining to me about us Black people really starting our own government. And he would, how he sets it up is having Black people have their own schooling system, their own churches, their own banks, their own government per se,
They
you know,
even had their
because,
own airline.
right, everything.
That's why Trump is holding his first rally. He's holding it in Tulsa, Oklahoma, which was Black Wall Street. He's holding his rally there because that is such a trophy for white supremacists that they were able to destroy
Destroy
Black Wall
it.
Street. So that's why Trump is holding his rally there, not because he cares about black people, because he knows that for white people that looks like a real white supremacist kind of holy grail.
I didn't even know that. Man,
I actually need to speak to young Pharaoh because I heard he posted something about me recently. I've been trying to ask him to go live for a minute because he's been kind of doing the whole Trump talk, and Trump is way better than Clinton, like in terms of like the deep
not
state,
killing children, right?
right. As far as I'm aware, he's better than Clinton. But as I said, if you have to choose Trump or Clinton or Biden, you're fucked. So you shouldn't even be choosing any of them. And like, look at, like, I'm not sure if he knows this, but I know this because I am Jamaican. U.S. foreign policy destroyed Jamaica. That's what Siaga
In the
destroying,
80s,
right,
absolutely.
destroying Bacawal, creating Tivoli Gardens, pouring all the drugs, pouring all of the guns into the ghettos,
In
creating
That's right.
the JLP and the PNP war. That was that. That was Prescott Bush's export of his war on drugs through Jamaica from
Right.
Colombia up to the USA. That's what that
Right.
was. That was the US dictating that.
You know, a lot of people don't know about this. We're going to get a little bit into Jamaican history, but the US, the only reason why the US was so friendly with Jamaica back in the 80s is because they wanted to destroy the drug war on Colombia, you know? And the way they best thought that they could do that is getting Jamaica involved, you know, so the connection that Jamaica had with Colombia, they could use Jamaica, use the Black people as always, to try to fight this war with the drug war with Colombia. And then again in the 90s, or in the 2000s, sorry, Duras had a very close
Yeah,
connection with the Mexican mafias, or what do you call the Mexican
cartels.
cartels? And
Yeah,
look what happened to Duras. They destroyed Duras to get
yeah,
to the Mexican cartels, you know? So as
yeah.
usual, just like in this is what America does, they use Black people to fuel their agenda for what they need, you know?
Well, I mean, deeper than that, actually, though some of what you're saying is true, they just wanted as many colonies for this drug war as possible. So Jamaica, Trinidad, just anywhere that was a route from Colombia to the USA, they started using all of these channels so that they could export this war on drugs. Because if Jamaica all right, if the Jamaican government and if Siaga hadn't done the thing that he did and had created this war with Manly, if he hadn't have done that, Jamaica was relatively peaceful in the 60s and 70s. In the 80s, this war on drugs happened and it was funneled through Jamaica. They didn't necessarily want them to fight the war. They acted as in the propaganda was we want them to fight the war. But they just wanted to, because there was so much drugs coming and so much money to be made because it
They
was the
wanted to
CIA that was
control
running all
it.
of this.
Right.
There's a man called Gary Webb who exposed the CIA running all of the drugs, and he was killed because he was an investigative journalist, and he exposed that, and they killed him. But CIA is the Central Intelligence Agency, is just cracking America. That's what CIA is. Whether it's North America, whether it's South America or the Caribbean, it's crack cocaine. It's cocaine in America. And why is it that these CIA planes keep turning up full of cocaine? Boats full of cocaine. Like, just Google CIA plane, CIA boat, cocaine, and you'll just see that they've literally got tons and tons and tons of cocaine on these planes. And they're not taking them for evidence, because it wouldn't make sense to take that much product for evidence. You would take some and dump the rest in the ocean, right? But they're not doing that. So I figure that actually the war on drugs got exported to Jamaica. It destroyed Jamaican economy. The war on terrorism got exported to, and the war for oil got exported to Nigeria, got exported to Kenya, got exported to Somalia, and it's destroying their economies. All the USA does, and this is why it's a crazy place, all the USA does is export its wars to different places. Like, look at how the Clintons destroyed the agricultural economy in Haiti. They destroyed like Clinton's rice, dropping off free rice. So now, why am I going to pay somebody for food when the Clintons, who are now getting the farms in the USA are getting subsidized by the US government so they can provide free rice to Haiti, which is destroying the Haitians' economy. At the same time, you're stealing gold from Haiti. At the same time, there was an earthquake, which some would say was HARP and was created in 2005, I think, or 2000. It was a while ago, and 250,000 people died, and the $500 million was raised through the Red Cross, through the Clinton Foundation, and only 6 houses was built. $500 million was raised. So clearly that wasn't raised for the people. 2010, sorry. Clearly that wasn't raised for the people. And so because of that, you have a end-to-end system of the exportation of the military-industrial complex and the exportation of US foreign policy, which has been destroying economies. Know about the military coup that was created in Guatemala. That was created by the United Fruit Company and the CIA. A banana company created a military coup, and they tried to say that the leader of Guatemala was a communist, and because of the whole Cuban Missile Crisis and the Cold War and the Bay of Pigs, they were like, he is anti-America. At the same time, they took American journalists, North American journalists, over to Guatemala, and they were interviewing fake politicians, actors that they put in place, who pretended like they were with the Communist Party, they were with the communist movement. Really, the leader wasn't with the communist movement. At the same time, the CIA were coming and flying planes and dropping barrel bombs to destroy the government of Guatemala so that they could install their own dictator, so that he would privatize the fruit rather than nationalize it. And there you have it, a country that has been destroyed just off the back of fruit. So they'll destroy a country of fruit. Think about what they'll destroy a country of drugs.
Yeah, man. You know, when I think about all of it, it's like my head, it's like, it's so much evil in this world, so much bad. It's like what can one do? Like, really, what can one do?
Self-governance, self-economy, do for self. We did better when we weren't allowed in their hospitals, because we would take care of our people at home. We would give birth to our babies at home. We did better when we weren't allowed into their restaurants and we weren't allowed into their grocery stores, because we grew our own food. We did better when we had to do for ourselves. We created thriving economies. They tried to destroy them. The only thing that you can do, I believe, is to recreate or to create your own economies for yourself, with your own police, your own military, your own politicians. Because if you notice, the only time that politicians turn up in the ghettos and turn up in the black cities even is when election time comes.
That's right.
Right. So we need our own schools. All of these Karens that you see happening, these Karens are school teachers and shit. They're making our kids think that they aren't worthy, because they're making our kids think and feel like they're full of shit. So for me, it's do for self. That's what I say, is do for self. I know you might have some people who are like, yo, you know, we need to vote the lesser of two evils in, rather than voting in an absolute evil in. I think that that's a cop-out. I think that, you know, you could do better if you boycott these things and start saying, do you know what, fuck all y'all. We're not involved in any of that stuff. We do for ourselves. You lot can do your own thing. we're not reliant on the state because we are growing our own food.
I think it would be awesome if you and Pharaoh actually got on a live, because your ideals are very similar. Yes, there are a few differences because he is, I wouldn't say he's pro-Trump, but he's definitely not again. He wants Trump to do what he needs to do so that Black people can have their own government. So basically, he's just like, let Trump do what he needs to do so that we can have our own. He doesn't believe that white history needs to be taught to Black kids because we're not learning anything about our African history, and they don't want to know about African history because it doesn't benefit them. You know, we're not taught about our Yoruba religions. We're taught about Christianity and things like that, which that's not what we were based on. That's not our history. That's not our ancestors, you know? So he really believes that, hold on a second. He really believes that, you know, we need our own. And I agree. And I think it would be really good if you and him got on live. I'm actually going to text him later and see if you guys can arrange that, because you guys are both so knowledgeable. I think in terms of religion and the way that you view life, I resonate a little bit more with you. And being Jamaican, you know, we kind of have this thing here. But yeah, I think that would be amazing.
Speak to him, innit?
Yeah, I will.
I'm easy. I've always been open to speak to our people where they're at. He's a very good journalist. He keeps his receipts. He does
Yeah.
his information. I'm not a journalist. I'm more of like I would say a developer, an anthropologist. I'm more interested in actually building stuff. So my businesses are all building stuff. So I want physical land and physical buildings. But yeah, man, speak to him. But yo, I gotta wrap this up because I might have to go somewhere now.
Yeah, me too.
But it was good to reason a while. And
Yeah, you know what I would love? I would love for us to do a live one day, and I want you to speak about Black women from a man's point of view. And I want it to just be about Black women, sexuality, culture, everything. Like really, because I feel like it's one thing to hear from another woman, but it's a completely different thing to hear from a spiritually minded, divine, masculine king on what he thinks about the Black woman. I would love us to do that. So we should do that one of these days.
yeah, man, we can. And there's a lot more Black women that know about Black women than me. Like Queen of Fu is one of them. You could try and hit up, see if she'll
Could you
come. She
could you
wrote the
DM me her name?
Yeah, she wrote the book Sacred Woman. It's a really
Okay.
popular book.
Okay.
But yeah, man, we can do that. But
Okay.
yeah, man, it was good to reason with you and look
Yes,
after
brother,
yourself.
brother. Take care, and we'll
And
talk soon.
choose.
All right, brother. Choose. Bye. Okay, guys, I'm going to wrap this up and talk to you guys soon. I have to go. Sorry.